What is going on, young man? I am the over 50 guy slash the online dad. Listen, on today's video, I want to answer a question from one of the subscribers. He had asked, what is a legitimate good woman and what is a legitimate good job? So I'm not going to go into both of those today. I'll tackle the good woman piece first. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So listen, what constitutes a good woman, young man? I'm going to go about explaining this to you guys in a different way because I know plenty of good people that have really bad behaviors or they are, circumstances has kind of, made them choose some different paths. But by and large, they really are good people. They just have made bad decisions or they just have bad behaviors, but they're good people. So I'm not going to go into it from the standpoint of, calling a woman good or bad. If I don't know you and if I don't know your situation and your circumstances, I don't think I'm quite qualified to determine someone's goodness or badness. So I won't go at it from that perspective. I'll go at it from this one. What behaviors would I consider a red flag or questionable if I am seeking a good woman for a relationship? And I'm thinking that's what my subscriber was really asking. Like, what is a good woman in terms of a relationship? So that's the way I'm going to go about this. And while I can talk about this, guys, forever, because I've had my fair share of good and bad experiences with multiple women, there's three things that stand out when I think about like the women that I've dealt with in the past, the women that I have dealt with in the past and behaviors that as I look back on, probably weren't really conducive to the type of relationship that I would have wanted. Right. I think that, you have to make a delineation, young men, between, a woman that you just want for play and a woman that you ultimately would want to build a life with and, have raise your children or assist you in raising your children. And it goes without saying, man, that I am not talking about this now. If you're in your 20s and, you should be building yourself, relationships, particularly serious ones, are nothing but a distraction for you at this point. You need to be totally submerged in building yourself. But again, I know that, there are plenty of guys that's going to go into one ear and out the other. So we're just going to go ahead and tackle this as far as, what are red flags for women that you are considering to be in a relationship with. And again, it's a few of them that stand out to me. The first one is femininity. That one thing I see today, guys, that, you saw a little bit of this, when I was coming up, but it is so pervasive now. Like, I really feel bad for you guys as far as, the dating pool that you have to deal with because femininity, from what I see, is gone, right? And let me be clear, just because you have a box doesn't make you feminine, number one, because I'm sure I'll get plenty of clapback from women that will say that, yeah, I'm feminine and I'm a woman and I'm, yeah, you are by gender. Many of you by gender, you absolutely are, but it's not just your gender and your box that makes you a woman or makes you feminine. It is an attitude. It is an attitude of, softness, an attitude of submissiveness, an attitude of being supporting and supportive. And I don't see that when I look at the young ladies today on social media, when I interact with them, at my job or in the public. they are more masculine than what men are. And I will absolutely tell you guys, I had my fair share of that in relationships in my past, where if I've had a handful of women that I've dealt with, I can count on one hand and have fingers left over, the type that were, really feminine, right? In their behavior, in their demeanor. That is an absolute red flag and it should be for you men. If you don't know, if you have a young lady that is more masculine acting than you, loud, combative, belligerent, and I see this. I know that you guys may see this as just normal behavior, because if this is all you know and all you've come up with, then you don't know anything different. But that is definitely a red flag for a woman that would not be good for a relationship. The boss bitch, I don't need you, I don't need a man, and listen, no shade against you women. If you think you're a boss bitch, congratulations. If you are independent and you don't need a man, congratulations. I ain't got no dog in that fight. So my woman needs me. So I'm good. So I don't have a dog in that fight if that's where you're at. But young men, women like that will always present a challenge, right? That doesn't need to be there, right? I tell my son all the time that the true essence of a man is to be needed. The true essence of a woman is to need and be submissive, so that in that way we counter each other. And that has totally gone out the window, with, again, women wanting to be more masculine than feminine. So definitely a red flag there. And I know that I am going to get all kinds of, and that's another thing, women that guilt you or shame you into accepting bad behavior. That's another red flag that actually wasn't on my list, but now that I think about it, women that guilt or shame you into accepting bad behavior. Undoubtedly, there would be plenty of women that will tell me that I am insecure and I'm not a real man and I can't handle a woman or a real woman and this type of thing. Men, definite red flag when you deal with women that, again, will guilt and shame you into, accepting things that aren't right. It's the idea, young men, of the young lady that wants to still hang out with girlfriends and do single woman stuff. And when you have an objection to that, it is because you are insecure and you're trying to control me. And you're, again, that is guilting you into accepting bad behavior. I want to go on the girls' trip. No men, just me and my girlfriends out of the country or whatever. And you object to that. Like, wait a minute, why are you going? Like, we're a couple. Like, we should be going on these trips. Why do you need to go places without me? Oh, because I need my own and this is what I do and you should understand. And a real man would, all of that crazy, right? Definite red flag when you have women that, again, will try to guilt and shame you into accepting crazy behavior from them, right? Definitely a red flag for a woman for a good relationship, I believe. Modesty. Modesty is something. Listen, I'll be the first one to tell you guys, I love the loose. I love the loose and easy chick that has everything hanging out and loves sex just as much as I do and don't mind letting the world know. I love that type of chick, but that's not the type of chick that I would want for a serious relationship. Somebody that I would want to raise my children, somebody that I would want to bring around my family. That woman is good for play. Modesty is another thing that looks like it's really just gone out the window. It used to be a time where back in my day where, again, you had a handful. You had a handful of women that were just kind of out there and just doing their own thing. And again, no shade, no shade. That was cool. But now it seems like, again, whether I am at work, whether I am on social media, whether I am watching TV, culture has made it now that it is perfectly fine to just be out there, right? You can dress however you want. You can have whatever showing. I can remember Louis Farrakhan years ago saying that he remembers a time where women just hanging their underclothes or their undergarments on a clothesline was embarrassing for women. And now forget the underclothes, that, having your ass out or your breast out or the whole twerking thing. And it's a lack of modesty, man. Like, you want a woman that cares about how she's viewed, right? And when you can come out and you can do a lot of the things that I see a lot of these young girls do, being sexually suggestive and this, that, and the other. Again, no shade, ladies. If that's what you do, that's what you do. But young men, you should absolutely run from a woman like that as it pertains to a good woman for a serious relationship or even marriage. Because if she's doing that before you, what is so special about you that is going to stop that behavior? It won't. It'll just be something that, again, you'll be forced to deal with, because if you speak against it, then, again, you're being insecure and you're being controlling. And so, yeah, a lack of modesty is definitely a red flag, young man, as it pertains to, good women for relationships. So lack of femininity, lack of modesty. I tell you another one, and I touched on it a little earlier, like combative women. I have never seen so much of that in my life. The idea of women like challenging men as far as physically challenging them. Now, we have to understand where that comes from. Most women know. And I take that back. Now that I think about it, most women in my day knew that they could get away with that type of stuff because, 911 was a phone call away. And if you're a man who has something to lose, a woman can push buttons with you because she knows if you have a job or if you have something going for yourself, you're not going to risk that. So they can play that game with you where, they're jumping up in your face and they're nowadays, I don't believe it's a game. I honestly believe that a lot of these younger women out here are so combative and so masculine that they honestly believe that, they can stand up to men. And they believe that because, like I said, most men who have things going for them is not going to wipe the floor with these women who are combative like that. But what I would tell you, young man, is that a feminine woman wouldn't do that anyway, right? That would be against her femininity to want to stand up to a man who is infinitely stronger than her. I say it all the time: the weakest man, who is stronger, built differently than will wipe the floor with a woman simply because that, we're physically stronger. And that's just a fact. No cut against women. It's just a fact. And yet I see on social media, I see in public just the challenging of men by women. So combative, no modesty, no femininity. These are just a few things, men. Now, if there are women out here that exhibit these traits, I don't know if you're good or bad. You can be a wonderful person, wonderful daughter, wonderful sister, great worker. You can be all of that. So I won't go as far as to say that these people or women that exhibit these traits are bad. I will say they are bad for any man who wants to have a serious relationship that could possibly lead into marriage and raising a family. A woman with those traits are absolutely horrible for that, right? So the ideal of women who like to guilt and shame you into accepting poor behavior, women that lack modesty when it comes to their body and their personhood, women who lack femininity. And again, just because you got a box doesn't make you feminine, right? Um, and these types of things are the things, young man, that I would absolutely say. And I can keep going. I can go with this one for a good hour, because there's other ones that I am thinking about even as I'm speaking here, but we don't have that type of time. So yeah, that is what I got for today, guys. I hope that adds some value. Again, what constitutes a good woman for a relationship? I would say a woman that doesn't have these three qualities that I just mentioned. That would be a good start. Okay. So listen, that's all I have for this video. Still doing the one-on-one coaching, young men. If you're interested, I'll leave my email in the bottom of the video description here. Shout out, put coaching in the subject line. I'll get back in touch with you and let you know about that process and how it works. Lives, Sunday nights, 11 o'clock, we're still doing those. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'd be interested in any comments that you guys have on this as well, right? So listen, I am the Over 50 guy / the online dad. We'll be back with another one soon.